Supposed to come to my... Why is that always wrong? How is it? Well, it's still wrong. Anyhow, welcome to the news. Let's get into it. How's everyone doing today? Welcome to my 1 hour lunch break. All opinions today are those of my own. Just want to make sure that you remember that. Anyhow, it's good to have you guys here. Let's go over what I found interesting in the news this week. We'll go ahead and jump right into it. The very first thing that the first thing you should have seen if it had jumped to the right screen is that as we follow our beloved Voyager 2, NASA has turned off some instruments to save power on Voyager 2. Now, if you guys don't know, these machines run off of depleted plutonium. I think it's plutonium, basically, and they generate electricity from the heat of the decaying. And so it's decaying. It has half-life, and it means that they're slowly dying. Their batteries are slowly dying, and it loses about 4 watts of power each year. Anyway, so they've had to turn off basically the instrument that detected us leaving our sun's heliosphere, which aren't actually getting much more information anymore because there's not solar winds outside of our sun's heliosphere, or not what they were. So they turned those off to save power. So I keep you guys updated on Voyagers. It's a computer system. It's a computer system. All right, let's move on. We had some winning for the Arch community. I don't know if you guys know or not, but I use Arch. And while that's triggering for most of you and not for some of you, Arch won some pretty big funding this last week. And so I thought I'd like to show you guys. You can go ahead and check it out here if you check out the archives. Oh, dang it, I forgot the by the way. It didn't work in the sentence, okay? It didn't work in the sentence. You can go check it out here, but it looks like Steam is going to go ahead and put some support down for Arch. And by Steam, I mean Valve. Sorry. Valve is going to start supporting Arch. And this makes sense because Valve is actually investing in Arch because it uses and leverages Arch. So this is actually really cool to see a company like Valve who used an open source project to make money and actually go the step to support it. So I want to call this out, as I think that this is a really great way that open source ecosystems can flourish. So good on Valve for doing this. Now, that being said, some people called me out for not talking about Valve's change to their mandated arbitration. So we can talk about that some right now. Valve removes its arbitrary arbitration from its Steam subscriber agreement. The writing has been on the wall for these mandatory arbitrations, and the reason being, and the reason I didn't find this to be huge news, to be honest, is mandatory arbitrations require or are basically there so that you can't do a class action lawsuit. That's what it's trying to protect. But what happens, and what can easily happen, which people DoorDash was the first to find out, is that you can mass arbitrate. And this is very expensive. Maybe more expensive than fighting a class action lawsuit. It costs very little money for an individual to file an arbitration claim, and it costs a lot of money for Steam or whoever, DoorDash was another example, to arbitrate those claims. And since they're mandatory, Steam has to actually do it. So instead of a class action lawsuit, what has been happening is law firms will organize mass arbitrations, which are just as painful. So we've seen forced arbitration to being removed from some of these. Steam kind of followed suit in that. I don't think that this is surprising. I think we'll see more of this because it turns out that the arbitration can be more costly, which is a good thing. All right. Let's talk about the cloud next. There was a huge win in the cloud. There was the death of a company. I don't know if you guys know, with Stable IP. The Stable IP has been fighting a legal battle that it's been losing for years. I've kept you guys up to date on it. And today, at least, this week, Cloudflare is the hero of the week. I'm going to give it to him this week. Hero of the week. One, because they're the only people that actually tracked Verizon's outage, unlike Verizon. But two, because of this. Patent troll Sable pays up, dedicates all its patents to the public. Now, Cloudflare has very notoriously gone after patent trolls that have gone after it. I would say this is a warning to all patent trolls. If you're going to be a patent troll, don't go after Cloudflare. Now, Cloudflare goes after more patent trolls than just the ones that sue it, though, so you're not entirely safe if you're a patent troll. Now, they have their Project Wago or Django. I don't really know how to pronounce it. I don't know if that's an American J, a European J, or a Spanish J. Don't know. But it's a J. This project is basically looking for people's prior works. So basically, you can get awarded money for finding prior works to defeat patent trolls. Now, I'm not going to dive through all of this. You guys can go ahead and look through it. But there was a couple interesting things that happened because Cloudflare thought that it wasn't just good enough to win in court. They needed to thoroughly destroy Sable. And that's what they ended up doing. To the point, it's given up all rights, but also some humiliation. If you go into the court case, so they describe how they defeated the claims. So first, they got the jury to agree that Cloudflare did not infringe on the patents. So they won there. Second, on top of that, they got the patent voided by proving that there was prior claims. So Sable's patent claim is invalid because there was prior works of those claims. And so, there was, it dismantled it there. So those are two, just, it won twice. And then, further, it got Sable to pay them only $250,000, which is probably not what they spent on legal fees, because it's been going on for 4 years now. It got Mr. Brochure was forced to admit Sable's approach is to sue first, ask questions later. Even among patent trolls, this is hardly a noble business practice. You agree that let's leave ethical out of it because you say that ethical and responsible, you believe it would be responsible, reasonable business practice to sit down and talk to folks before you sue them, right? Yes. You didn't do that here, did you, sir? No. And you don't do that as your practice, right? That is correct. You told the jury that not 20 minutes ago that you sue every time. You don't ask, you don't talk to anybody. That's what you told them. Fair? Fair. And then you stood up here and told the jury is everybody. So not only that, it goes even worse. they got the judge to agree that their ask of 94 million in damages by their Mr. Dell, not the Dell that makes the laptops, was over the top. And he was very skeptical of Mr. Dell's opinions on the damages foreseen. So this was a huge win for everybody that hates patent trolls. If you're a patent troll, this was a huge bad day for you guys. So congratulations, Cloudflare. You've learned the business of the week. Congratulations. In other cloud news, we have Amazon Q Business is now HIPAA eligible. This is interesting. HIPAA is an American standard, for those of you that don't know, for personal, I forget what HIPAA, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. That's what HIPAA stands for. But it's basically what health providers, health insurance providers and stuff are required to follow. And it has very strict guidelines on what you can use, how you can share that information and whatnot, and what the safeguards have to be in place to protect HIPAA data. And so now Amazon Q is now eligible for this. Now, if you're wanting to use HIPAA, I'm not a lawyer, so don't take this as advice, but there are things, even if it's HIPAA, you can't just use it. You actually have to get a statement from Amazon Q or Amazon to start leveraging it. But it's there. If you're wanting to use it and you're a HIPAA, it's available. Amazon managers, we'll find out how good Amazon Q is in a couple of months. Amazon Managed Services for Prometheus now supports Internet Protocol version 6. This is huge because Amazon is charging you for IP addresses, IPv4 addresses. And because of that, it's forcing everybody that doesn't want to pay possibly ludicrous amounts of money to leverage IPv6 addresses. But not everything internally to AWS uses IPv6 addresses. So it's good to see more services so that your whole stack can be IPv6 if you want it to be, which is pretty awesome. Amazon Redshift launched their R3A or RA3 large instances. Now, this one's kind of interesting. I kind of dug into this because these are Redshift specific instances, and the large is actually now the smallest one. So I looked into it, dug into it a little bit. So this is what it looks like. Now I'm gonna plead with you here, Amazon. For the love of all things good on this earth, stick to a consistent naming. For the longest time, EC2 was this dependable structure that I could depend on. If I saw an instance name, I understood what it was. Now, they've used this term large kind of ambiguously for a while, and that's been okay because, you know, not everything has micro and pico and whatnot. And so it's something that's bigger than small. And this disappointed me. What is the XL Plus? Could you clarify, Amazon? I know this isn't the new one, but it's just the XL large. There's large, XL large, 4 extra large. Like, this is 4 times, like, that's what it's always meant. What is the XL Plus? Did I miss something? Does plus mean something? I don't know. I don't know. But this is still good news for you, because if this was too big, if this was over provisioning for you and you only needed a quarter of that, you now have a smaller one and you can still use Amazon Redshift and it will be cheaper. So that's pretty awesome if you're in this and you're using this. Let's move on to GCP. GCP didn't have anything. So let's move on to Azure, because Azure actually had a few things. Microsoft launches the latest Azure virtual machines optimized for AI computing, the ND H200 V5 series. These things are mammoth. They're expensive. They run the H200s, as kind of their name consists. They are very, very large, with high memory bandwidth up to 400 or 141 gigabytes, including the H100s or the H200s. So if you're looking to train AI stuff and you want those big instances, Azure now has some big chunky boys for you to leverage. We have a public preview of Simulate Everyday Interactions with your app in Azure AI Studio. We've been compiling a list of things that AI is actually really good at, and I think this is going to be on one of them. We've had those things that test your APIs and things like that, but those things usually are scripted out and they don't necessarily fuzzy test things like this might be able to. So this synthetic data generator and simulator can kind of take that to the next level. I actually think that that's a really cool way and usage of AI that we might see more of in the future. So I'm pretty excited about this. Kudos to them. If you're in Azure and you tried this out, please let me know how it is. And the very last is the public preview of evaluations for indirect prompt injection attacks in Azure AI Studio. Now, just a couple of months ago, the Azure there was an Azure executive that had left Azure that said basically they had no way of basically firewalling an AI, and nobody really knew what they were doing. And if you look through the Azure releases, the Azure updates, they have done a lot of things to try to help protect your AI application. So you can go through here and let's see, public preview evaluation for protected material text in Azure AI, public preview evaluation for indirect prompt injection attacks in Azure AI. So like they have gone through and it looks like they're trying to take the security and safety of their AI tools and your infrastructure specifically seriously. But when we're talking about AI and the safety and uses of it, that brings us to question whether those features are features or data breaches. You know, is doxing a feature? Some might say yes. It turns out that Meta released some fantastic glasses that do glasses stuff. Okay? But the real thing is, it turns out that it's just started automatically doxing people. Fantastic. Fantastic. With their address and phone number, pulling from internal Facebook databases, I guess. These glasses are just straight up doxing people. Why you shouldn't be on Facebook, probably. I mean, there's actually a whole host of reasons you shouldn't be on Facebook. This is not one of them. I'm not your psychiatrist, so don't talk to me about it. So, what's the easiest way to dox somebody? Just go buy yourself a 379 pair Meta Ray-Ban 2 smart sunglasses and dig up personal information on everybody that you see. I'm sorry, I couldn't help bring this up. It was new. This is terrifying. Facebook, control yourself. I almost want to buy these Meta Ray-Ban 2. If they were programmable, I might do it. But like I look, people go to have surgery to not wear glasses. I think it's going to be a very hard sell to say, go ahead and wear glasses all day. Like, people don't want that. And I just don't foresee having enough stuff in there to make that. Now, if you said I put on glasses to play Doom in real life, like let's say I could run around my college campus playing Doom in real life. That would be cool. And I would put glasses on for that. But putting glasses on to walk around all day for what? Identifying trees? Or Google Maps in front of me? That's not worth it. It's not worth it. Call me old school. Call me old school, but it's not worth it. All right. Now, I was going to cover this, but I think we'll just fly by this because it's not really that interesting. Verizon confirmed that it had a service outage, and it had a major service outage for a lot of people across the United States. And then what I really wanted to call out was they did what maybe no tech company should do. They gave no postmortem of like why they fixed it and how it was fixed and anything like that. They just said, peace, it's fixed. If you want any information on the outage itself, you actually have to turn to Cloudflare, who actually covered the outage quite well, was able to give some amount of insight into it, and was actually a very interesting read. So I would suggest going and reading if you're interested in things like this. It went through like common, it went through, it could silo out Verizon traffic, and basically it looked at differences in the traffic between those days and what type of responses they were giving. So it was a pretty cool write-up from not Verizon. A pretty cool write-up from not Verizon. All right. I told you. Yeah, Cloudflare does some pretty cool things. They're very good at what they do. Talking about the AI facial recognition, something I told people that was going to be a thing, 6 months ago? I think it was 6 months. I said that OpenAI was burning through money and that they were going to have to raise a lot of money. And they would have to be valued at a ridiculous amount, I said in the billions, to be worth that. Now, one thing I didn't talk about is to be valued at that, they'd have to be a for-profit company, which it does look like they're in the process of becoming a for-profit company as they push everybody that was originally there with the original OpenAI standard out. Now, that being said, we see 2 rounds of funding that interest me, and there's some news around them, and I'm going to wait for the dust to settle and see the actual announcements from the people. The first one is the 11x AI, a developer of an AI sales reps, has raised $50 million. $50 million is a lot, especially when the company is going to be competing directly against Salesforce. And Salesforce is already doing its own AI sales reps and autonomous agents, right? This is where this one's really interesting to me because they obviously saw something that they thought was unique. Although my understanding of the company, it's pretty much going to be competing directly with Salesforce. So I'm going to be interested on how this one pans out. Valuation of $350 million is a lot of money for what it is right now. So I don't have the investor insight. But the other one is an interesting one because reportedly, I don't have this for fact. All the high-level people at Apple refuse to message me back. Apple backs out of backing OpenAI. So OpenAI is trying to do a round for $6.5 billion of investment. And Apple was reportedly one of those people going to invest in it. But it seems like the Wall Street Journal is now claiming that Apple has abandoned those plans. Like I said, I couldn't validate this myself, but it is a lot of money for a company that is losing money. The last time I remember something like this, and the company did manage to turn around, was a company called Uber. I'm not sure if you guys remember who they are, but this small company was valued at ludicrous amounts, and it took a very hard company pivot and layoffs as well to turn that around, because they had basically gotten to a place where they couldn't raise money anymore. OpenAI won't be able to raise money after this. They'll be worth too much. To raise money, they would have to valuate themselves at $20 billion. And if you're still losing money, that's a pretty hard sell. Togglebit is valued at $21 billion because of his fantastic content. If people don't know, Togglebit, I'm gonna give. I don't usually do this in my news, but Togglebit has some fantastic. I just gave a shout out to a channel that doesn't exist. I misspelled your name, Togglebit. There you go. Togglebit has some fantastic live streaming content. You should check them out. All right, let's get back to the news. So last week we talked about Amazon's return to office mandate, and I've been following that. It's interesting because both Google and Microsoft responded to this. Both Microsoft and Google. But their responses were a little interesting in mine because neither of them said, no, we're not doing the return to office. But both of them also said we could. So if you look up the news, just do a quick search, you'll see Google recommits to hybrid work schedule, unlike Amazon. But if you really dig into it, they said wording like this: we don't have immediate plans for a 5-day office return. And then one VP said, we don't have any plans as long as you stay productive. Now, as far as the research I've seen, productivity hasn't actually been proven to be lesser from working from home. You'll see some that contradict that, but the majority of them say productivity stays about the same, whether they're in the office or at home. So that's why Amazon didn't take that, because they have hire smart people, and they take the approach of to build culture, because we have no way of building culture without everybody being in 20 or 50 different buildings, because that's how many they have, which doesn't make sense. But Microsoft kind of took the same approach. Microsoft execs sends stern warning to staff about returning to the office. Microsoft pretty much says there's not going to be a plan for Amazon-style return to office as long as you stay productive. So we'll see how this turns out. I'll keep watching it. I'll let you guys know if I see anything. I'm not going to keep covering every little move. I know that AWS's or Amazon's move was a really big move, and that's why I wanted to cover that one specifically. But show you your keyboard. There's half of it. The other half is harder to lift up because it has a cable. So, yeah. But anyways, I'll keep watching, and I'll let you guys know if there's any more dissidence in that. I'm particularly interested to see where I feel like the sand is going to settle, and we'll see where that is. I feel like work from home will be a competitive edge that some startups are going to leverage, because they don't have to pay to have all their engineers in the same place, which is actually pretty expensive when you think about it. There's relocation costs. There's the expense of hiring somebody paying their relocation costs, that doesn't actually work out. So there's actually more risk involved there as well. There's the expense of their office, their heating and cooling, the snacks or whatnot in the office. So it's not, I don't think it's clean cut, but we'll see. All right. We have 3 more things to cover. There is a new AI in town. A new AI that isn't a GPT, but does a lot of the same things, which is pretty cool. So there's a company that spun off of MIT called Liquid AI, and they take a somewhat innovative approach to the pre-trained generative models. Now, this is pre-trained, and it is generative, but it is not a GPT as the classic sense of GPTs go. You can read about it in a little bit of different places, but they I don't know exactly where it is, but they talk about their liquid transformers, which is a different type of transformer than the normal. What is a liquid transformer? This is not the transformers we were talking about. This is not the transformers we were talking about, but it's fast. If you notice, that was pretty fast. Supposedly it's really good. Is Kubernetes right for me? This looks like about GPT, not up there with Claude, but right up there with GPT. And is really fast, and that's because it doesn't use the whole it's not running on the same principles. It's actually a completely different backend. Maybe they don't call it liquid transformers. I don't remember. I was reading into it. But it's kind of cool. Claude just embellished the 7 points better. Agreed. It looks exactly like what we saw from ChatGPT. And the reason I think Claude is better is because Claude actually came back and asked specific questions about the above, which in my mind stood out better, because if I asked any sane engineer, is Kubernetes right for me, I wouldn't say all of this. I would ask the questions first. You know, that's kind of what I'm looking at is like, there's no way to tell. Let's ask some questions to dig deeper, find out more information. And Claude did that the best. So this is exactly like ChatGPT though. But it's faster. It's not based on the same principles. Like it's actually architected differently, which is one of the reasons why it's faster. And so I'm interested in it. I just found it. Supposedly, they have a small lightweight. Now, I don't know how to run this on the devices, but they have a small lightweight model that is supposedly really good, but it's really easy on memory. So one of the things that it does better is memory. And again, like I said, I've only recently found out about this, and I don't fully understand exactly how it's different, but it's supposedly different from the ground up, which I'm excited for. I'm excited to see not just, you know, somebody doing what ChatGPT did. You can always bother me to try something. I actually have a little extra time. You know, I have an hour set aside for this, and I'm going to be like 20 minutes early. So go for it, Toggle. It's trained to give you something first. That makes sense. I won't hold it against Claude. I won't hold it against them. I didn't hold that they gave me something first, but the problem is, if what you're saying is that asking the questions first for more information makes it harder to then Google, you might as well have just Googled, it doesn't actually bring value, right? Is this the new test? It's fast. Where does it use unsafe? I'd have to review this. I don't have enough time for this whole derailment. Where does it use the... does it actually use unsafe? I don't actually see unsafe here. Oh. Okay, okay. Oh. It crashed when you asked it this? Well, it's weird because this isn't unsafe. I'm not sure what it did. Wait, there was... oh, there are. Never mind. I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. I missed them. I missed them. There are 2 unsafe functions. My bad. What's the unsafe part in that? Get unchecked mute. Okay. Probably that. It doesn't actually talk about... the as pointer method returns a raw pointer to the underlying data, which can be used to access the elements directly. However, since the unsafe methods are probably bounded by the safe methods, are these not... okay, let's see. Yeah, it does kind of just look like it wrapped it back in a box and called it a day. I'd have to experiment more with it, but I'm also up for crashing it, which would be fun. Which would be fun. All right. Have you all wanted to meet Dave? Well, Dave is excited to meet you. Dave is coming to a Discord server near you, and Dave has some exciting news. Meet Dave, Discord's new end-to-end encryption for audio and video. Now, the really interesting tactic that Discord took was you can only harass people with audio and video. They specifically said that they're not going to allow you to message people with encrypted because they want to keep you safe by not allowing you to message people with encrypted data. So if you want to go tell people what you want to do to them in Minecraft, which I am not advocating for at all, just do it over audio and video. Okay, that's the end goal here. It seems contradictive to me, but that is what it is. So you have encrypted end-to-end encrypted audio and video handled by Dave. I'm gonna write this. They actually have a pretty cool write-up of Dave and how it works. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. Yeah. Dave needs to be an AI. If I created an AI, I guess the AI's name wasn't Dave. I'd still probably call it Dave. Or just teach it to call everybody Dave. Just no matter what their name was, they're Dave. That might be better. So anyways, that exists. One cool thing that I do like about it, and I think that things like this should be, and I know things like Signal do this, but it is fully audible. So the algorithm to do this and handle this, the Dave protocol version 1 initial commit, is all out there for you to do. Now, an interesting thing is it doesn't seem like, it feels like this is not under, they're not, and there's a white paper you can go read. I haven't read it. I don't know what it is, but this looks like a audit milestone, aka they're not developing here. They're not committing things here. They're just going to push audit milestones. When they come out with version 1.1, they'll push that. They're not active. It's not like an open source project that they're actively looking for contributions. They're looking for issues to be opened up against it, and for people to validate that the security, hopefully the encryption security, is good and valid. I don't think that's how you pronounce Dave. Davey. Okay, that was not a very good Wally impression. Not here for vocals. Like I said, hit that subscribe button if you want me to get vocal classes, because wait. Dave. Was that better? I don't know. I don't know if that was better. Oh, wait, let's look. What is the issue here? Was it why use array view when std span exists? I was looking through your code, and notice you use your own array view class, which seems to be an implementation of std span. It raises the question of which standard you guys are targeting, since there does not appear to indicate that you've noticed fair question, fair answer. This is also a fair acceptance of the criticism. Okay, so this is actually a really cool combination. You can have your valid reasons, but this, if you actually think about it critically, you could be like, well, we should just use the standard library span. You can't use the standard library for C++ 20 because you need backwards compatibility to C++ 17. But you could take the implementation of span and make it compatible with the span of the standard library. So when you upgrade to C++ 20 for all of your stuff, you now have something that you can, remove that code, because the less code you own, the better, right? You want to be able to delete that code. So this was actually a really good take from the, I'm going to give him a heart. I don't know them, but like, it means this person is self-aware. They can take this and be like, no, we had good reasons, but yeah, that we could have done better as well. Thinking about it, I like it. More cheap viewers. I was wondering what you guys were talking about. I'm so sad. One, Icy Boxy. I don't know why I call you Icy Boxy, but ICS box boy X. That's what it is. I apologize. I've been calling your name wrong this entire time. Thank you for the bit. I appreciate it. Now, call you. Now I'm gonna have to call you Mr. X. All right, I'll try to remember X. Thanks for your support. Okay. What's new with Arch? So if you weren't here for the beginning of the stream, I do have a little bit of extra time, so we'll run over it. Valve is working with Arch to provide them funding to make Arch better. I use Arch, by the way. This is a non-sponsored stream. Which one of the things that I know that they were talking about was like build servers and stuff like that, and actually building a really good, solid pipeline for security. And one of the things that I went on to talk about is I really like this as a collaboration of a company who built a profitable product off of an open source project and is now giving back to that. So I thought it was well done. And that's the big news on Arch. Steam uses Arch. The Steam Deck is a huge like it's powered by Arch. Yeah. Is SteamOS a fork of Arch, or is it more of a desktop on top of Arch? I feel like it's more of a on top of Arch, or like a specialized Arch more than a fork of it. It's a spoon of Arch. Yeah. It's a distro of Arch. That's a better way of saying it. You know, like Pop! OS is a distro of Ubuntu. Arch, SteamOS is a distribution of Arch. So that was way more difficult to say than it should have been. It's a superset. Okay, we've got all the different ways of saying it now. Okay, I don't know if it's a superset. We'll figure out all the different things that it could be used for. Okay. Last thing for today, for my lunch break. Thank you everybody for joining me for the news. I super appreciate you all being here. Tomorrow's Saturday stream is going to be a little bit late. Just as an FYI, I'll be a little bit late because my kids have they've been doing this. There's this guy teaching a drumming class, and they're doing like a little drumming parade in a Saturday morning. So I'm gonna go see that. So I'll be later. I don't know exactly when I'll get home, but I'll be a little bit later. But tomorrow I should know the date for the AI games. Tomorrow I should know it. Let's get to the last news. Last week I talked to you guys a little bit about WP Engine and the WordPress drama. Now, more has happened. So as of last Friday, WP Engine got cut off from WordPress. Well, WordPress, and I told you that this was a travesty for the community as a whole. I'm not a WordPress person, so I don't care about WordPress per se, but I do care about all the people that are getting hurt by this feud. There's people who built their businesses consulting, doing WordPress plugins, and things like this that they are hurting in their feud. Now, the last thing that we had covered was that WP Engine got cut off from WordPress, which means plugins, which means themes, which means a lot of stuff. Oh my goodness. And there's been legal notices sent both ways, but WordPress did back off. They backed off from they gave temporary access back and stated that basically WordPress or WP Engine would have to give them 8% of their total revenue to maintain access to WordPress. And this has now escalated to not just a cease and desist legal type of proceeding, but to a full lawsuit of extortion. That's what WP Engine is suing WordPress for, extortion. Because WordPress said that they either needed to give 8% of their revenue to have access, they needed to give 8% of their revenue in developer time to work on upstream WordPress, or they needed to do a combination of either of those. And they had till October 8th, October sometime. Not long. Not long. And this has led in 159 employees leaving Automatic. Automatic's CEO is the person fighting WordPress and is one of the founders of WordPress. And like I said, this is hurting the entire community. It's not helping anyone. I think that if you asked me, there was grievances on both sides. I don't know. I'm not into the community that well, so it's probably not a super valid opinion. WordPress and Automatic do host these services. And so there is cost to those services, to the plugins, to the security, to all of those things. And so to me, it's only fair that WP Engine and others would pay to have access to those. But the way they went around it is just not good for the community. None of it is. And this isn't going to help either. I'm assuming these people worked on WordPress and they won't anymore. So this has a pretty good rundown of the whole thing. That's probably the last I cover the WordPress. I don't know that I have anything more to add to it, except that I feel sorry for the communities, because the communities are the people that are going to feel the brunt of this. And there you go. If they got hired by WordPress Engine, oh my goodness, or WP Engine, that would be insulting. That would be amazing. WP Engine, you should do that. You should do that. If you really wanted to like kick it one more gear up, just hire every single one of them. Let's call it letter stamp. I don't want to do PHP. I don't even care if it's Laravel. I don't want to do PHP. PHP has the same problem that JavaScript can. It's very hard to look at a piece of code and reason exactly what a thing is. I know that they made strides in later releases of PHP. Maybe we should do a PHP stream and just learn. But you know, and we can demonstrate it pretty easily. It's pretty easy in some languages like Python and JavaScript and PHP to write some code that's very difficult to know what a thing is. And those are the reasons I don't love them. For other reasons as well, because they don't fail fast. They fail in production. So there's some other reasons too, but yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. Why can't they do some sort of business to business? Absolutely. There were ways to handle this without just insulting each other, because this started out with them just insulting each other on Twitter, which was kind of funny for me. But there was a lot of ways that this could have worked out better. Like, okay, if you want to charge them for access and you haven't been, well, then you say, hey, starting in 2025, January 1st, we're going to charge this much per API call or whatever a sane rate is. And then you start doing it in 2025. That gives them time to make their own theme website or whatnot, or security or whatever it is. There's ways to do this that are not how they did it. Yeah. Toggle bit. They have to be fire ants. Just so you like, just to be clear, you can't just bring in some ants on stream. I need to see that they're fire ants. I need to see them on your hands and you rubbing some of them together, okay? Just so we're clear. Everybody in chat saw that. Not fire base ants. Not fire base ants, because that is just going to leak your personal data. We want something a little bit more painful than that. If we wanted to leak your personal data, I'd just buy the Facebook glasses, please. There's so much easier ways to get your personal data. Do you not have fire ants in the UK? So I've not had many experiences with fire ants, but I was in the further south than I normally am. And I guess they have fire ants in Georgia. And I was standing in this spot that suspiciously wasn't growing grass like the rest of the spots were. Might have been notoriously a fire ant hill. But I mean, I've never really paid attention because ants have never really bitten me. I had maybe thousands of those suckers on my legs, and it was painful. Very painful. And I felt like an idiot. Firebase ants as a pizza topping. Oh, okay, Toggle. My kids used to watch MacGyver. And then they couldn't after that episode. That's true. I forgot about that. That episode broke them. They were like, nope. Nope. I forgot. That was fantastic. Two things have given my kids nightmares. Scooby-Doo and MacGyver ants. I failed. I didn't remember that episode. And like most of the things were pretty tame. Like, that was my bad. That was my bad. All right. How not to parent 101. Learn from my mistakes. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining. That is my lunch hour. That is what I have today. And I got sidetracked thinking that I'm actually Italian, but I do need to come back to Italy some point. My grandmother wanted me to go visit. My grandmother came over, so I'm what I think that makes my mom first generation American. I'm second generation. She wanted me to go back. She wanted the whole family to go back and visit the town we came from. So I need to do that. Land of the Elite. So is this our new game? Is Breaking Liquid 40 billion? Okay. I might play that game on a stream tomorrow. Just take like 20 minutes. All right. All right. Anyways, thanks everybody for joining. Have yourselves a fantastic weekend. I hope to see you tomorrow when I stream. Remember, it's going to be slightly a little bit later. Tomorrow, I should also have information on exactly when we're doing the AI games. Togglebit, if you want to be part of the AI games, let me know. Let me know. You know how to reach me. It would be fun. Good collab, too. All right. Everybody have a fantastic week.